Hello, everyone. I'm here with Bryan Hardy. He is the founder of Revitalized Man. We were chatting just briefly before I press record. He will be joining me and about 150 other men at ManCamp, the premier initiation event for men in Canada. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you in person out there. You were speaking before we press record about um, your focus on holistic health and wellness. I heard you speak about source, but also I get the sense that you're in the science, you're in the practicals. Like, what are the simple things we can do to maximize ROI on revitalizing this incredibly intelligent, powerful human system that modern times isn't necessarily suited to? So thanks for joining me. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, and I'd love to hear kind of what you feel like are the most potent nuggets that men can take away, and maybe a little bit about what they can experience when they come to Man Camp and see you.
Yeah. So a lot there. We'll make it short and sweet. And thank you for the space and the warm welcome. So for myself, for anyone who has not met me or know of me or come across anything else I've done, Bryan Hardy, founder of Revitalized Man, holistic nutritionist and health coach by training. And for me, this all started back in 2010. My appendix ruptured, was misdiagnosed, nearly killed me. Waking up to a lot of things about the health system and medicine and life and spirituality, and like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? I almost died. I'm 18 years old. This is crazy. And so that's been really the major thing that made me slow down. And I call it my early life crisis. I was fortunate enough to have one. Not many do, and they have to wait until they're like 30 or 40 or 50 or beyond until kind of shit hits the fan and things get really real. So I count myself very blessed to have had that at a young age. Um, but what it did was it revealed to me why I believe I'm here, and at least a major focus of the work that I love to do, which is helping others, helping other men specifically, get back in touch with their bodies and learn to care for and take care of this amazing vessel, this amazing living, breathing, dynamic system that we call the body, so that we can have more energy, better brain function, better focus, better endurance, strength, all the things that you want to have and are designed, in my mind, designed to have. If we're not careful, modern life and the toxicity that surrounds us and the stress that surrounds us will strip that away and will slowly or fast, or quickly break us down and have us really struggling, really just fighting to get through the day, fighting to show up, fighting to feel like ourselves. And I don't believe that's any way to live. And I don't, um, my mission really with that is to ease and end the unnecessary suffering that many of us are going through, simply because we don't know, right? I did not know as a young man. I did not know hardly anything about how to take care of myself, and it was a hard fought sort of battle to get here and to be able to share and support others now with the work that I do, which again is very body centric, and we can't, you know, look past the soul or the mind or the emotions because they're all connected, and they all have a really really important piece. And so when it comes to like man camp and an experience of this sort, again, I've been blessed to have had many deep, connective, challenging experiences with men at retreats, at events, camping, all this kind of thing. Um, and what it's shown me is that there's a form of nourishment that goes far beyond, vitamins, minerals, protein, etc., that is so essential for us to feel, for me to feel like I'm thriving. And it only comes when I'm primarily with other men and ideally in nature somewhere, right? Off the grid, unplugged, in the bush, and doing things together and pushing ourselves and seeing what we're made of and seeing what we've maybe been hiding from, or pretending, right? Wearing these masks and pretending like everything's okay when really like there's some serious stuff going on. And so I've been able to find myself in these sorts of environments, and they've been absolutely essential. It's like I feel like I come back to myself. I feel like my cup is overflowing, leaving an experience like this. And I'm certain that's going to be the same. And maybe even to a height I've never experienced before, just given the number and the quality of the men that are gathering. And so for me, it's like, if you've had that experience, then you know. Right? You know, if you've had like an away camping experience with some good friends, or maybe it was more of a inwardly focused time, and you just know what is available, the clarity that you can connect to, and the remembering of who you are and why you're here and what you're excited about and what you're grateful for. Like, all these things become so much more accessible, I find, when we unplug and slow down and really tune in. Um, so that, I know, is going to be there for anyone who attends. And then for someone who's never been, I was speaking with a man who signed up, bless his heart, and props to him for stepping in and stepping up and taking on something in this experience coming up that is so far beyond anything he's done, so far beyond his comfort zone. And so I'm super excited to see if it's your first time, what you're going to get out of this, because I guarantee it's going to be something. And I guarantee you're going to leave and go like, oh my God, I can't believe it took me this long to experience something like this. At least that's been my experience, time and time again. And so I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited to both provide, some practical, tactical knowledge and insights around health, nutrition, the body, revitalization in general. And we'll be doing so on a panel discussion with Adam on the Saturday, I think around noon. And outside of that, just to be open to connection, to be open to contribute, to be open to answer questions, reflect, have discussions, and be there as a mirror to reflect back to another man, what he's sharing or communicating and how he's being received and felt and witnessed, because that can be so, so, so powerful. And then also for, when the time is right, to encourage us, okay, let's lean in, let's challenge ourselves a bit here. Let's not play it safe, right? Let's actually remember that this is a place, unlike many places in the modern world, this is a place where all of you is welcome, right? No matter how raw or real or intense that may seem in a certain moment, it's all welcome and it's all essential. Because if we don't have a place to welcome that and to acknowledge that and to receive that, then it's likely to come out in some really, not so ideal ways, in, a context that's not set up for that. I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours. I'd love to hear what that brings up in you, or any other questions or reflections you've got.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate and enjoy the scope and scale and breadth of how you include the idea of revitalization and wellness. I think oftentimes someone gets into their specialty and they make that like the thing. It's the headstone on the pyramid, and it's an life is an ecosystem, and our well-being is an ecosystem of many parts and many domains, and they interact, but they're also different. And so finding ways to maximize, like, we have 24 hours in a day and a finite amount of energy and things we can really focus on and tend to. And I think people who create and achieve well-being over time, and then maybe even get past where they're able to begin to provide well-being to others, which I think is what, kind of like the central strengths of our communities, is these people in their middle years who have both wisdom and energy, and then the elders that can really hold the space and guide and provide the wisdom. I think there's a lot of that missing from modern culture, especially in the West. And I see a resurgence and a kind of renaissance of that. But I also see a kind of divergence. I think some people are really not ready, and there's a bit of the kind of, head in the sand approach. And then some other people are willing to turn and face themselves and own some stuff and look at the shadow and start to clean up the messes that are there, which is always going to be challenging work, which I think is why a gathering of men that are there with sincere, good intentions and good faith to come together to strengthen us as a community of men in the world is such a powerful opportunity. I assume you're aware of Andrew Huberman. Just the way you speak kind of reminds me a little bit of his desire to kind of summarize and synthesize information that might be a little bit kind of above people's ability to kind of understand all the science of it. But I'm curious if there's a misconception or a misunderstanding, or just a missed piece of wisdom or knowledge around well-being that you think like, wow, if people just got this one thing, even though there might be lots of things to get, if they got this one thing, that would make a massive difference. And maybe you could speak a little bit about why that's such a powerful, we might call it a linchpin. I call it like a kingpin. Like if you get that one, the others start to fall more easily. Anything you can share there?
Yeah. Well, I think specifically in this context of our discussion, I mean, there's many things I could highlight, like sleep, comes to mind. Like if you're not sleeping, nothing's going to work, right? It's just not. At least it's not going to work to the degree that it could or should, everything else being equal. And I think enough people know that. I'll just put it there as like a placeholder. Like if you're not sleeping enough or with a good quality, let's investigate that. Don't let that just drag on for hours and hours and hours, or weeks and months and years, because you will get so much more out of your body and mind and your mood and your energy if your sleep is something you pay attention to. Well, for the sake of this discussion, I'm going to say it's two things, right, which are going to be in full supply over our time together at ManCamp. It's time in nature, right? Unplugging from our devices regularly, even if it's for 30 minutes a day, or it's for 3 days, every quarter, like a hard reset. That is so crucial, because it allows everything about our brain and our being to re-synchronize with the natural rhythms, right? When you're camping, it's like, it's bright outside, I guess I'm awake, right? It's dark outside, okay, I'm guessing I'm going to start feeling sleepy pretty soon. And it's the air quality, it's the sun exposure, it's the colors and the textures and everything about it that just lights up our senses and is so good for us, on a mind-body level. And then merging that together, it's time with brothers, it's time in community, it's time building bonds, it's time doing hard things. And that doesn't have to be physically hard. That can be, mentally, emotionally taxing work. But it's those two things that I see. And I work with a lot of men, and usually those are two things that they do not have in high supply, is a network of solid brothers they can count on, people who are there to challenge them, not just, pat them on the back or be a yes man. They're there to challenge them, not to enable, their patterns of addiction and struggle. And then it's time to unplug, right? It's time to unplug. And it's very easy to exist in the modern world and to think that you're doing everything perfectly and to be praised by those around you, as long as you're, making enough money and, showing up and it appears like you've got it together. Maybe you have a partner or a wife or a girlfriend, maybe not, maybe you're single, either way. If you're kind of showing up and like doing well at life, then people tend to think, oh, he's got it under control, he must be great, he's doing well. But beneath the surface, there's so much isolation that I witness, and that can't be replaced by, phone calls are great, text messages are great, digital communication is great, but it can't replace in-person, eye-to-eye, hand-to-hand, heart-to-heart gatherings. It just can't. And especially, I know for myself, and I see it in quite a few of us, post-COVID, there's like this hangover of socialization, atrophy, where we just kind of got too comfortable doing Zooms all the time and staying inside and working from home. Again, great things. I love all those things. But we can forget how good it is for us, how essential it is for us, if we want to feel and perform and be at our best, to get out of our comfort zone, to go to the woods, to go to the mountains, to go to the cold river and jump in and make a campfire, whatever that thing is for you. But find ways to reconnect, ideally regularly, and watch how your brain and your body will sync up with the nature around you, and you'll just tend to feel better. Everything will work better. You'll sleep better. You'll have more energy. Your mood will be elevated. And you don't have to do much except get yourself out there.
Yeah. Amazing. And I love, I think I was thinking about exercise where, there's these isolation exercises you can do. You can do like these little exercises for a small muscle group. And then there's what they call compound exercises, where you're doing like a real, like a physical movement that you do in your life, and it's involving the whole body. There's something to be said about isolation or accessory exercises that get in and maybe do a certain something when it's needed. But, like being in nature and being in a community of brotherhood, there's so many elements within those that are providing so much nourishment. And so I appreciate you going to that kind of compound uh, place in terms of what someone can do, because I think it can be intimidating. You think, oh, there's 100 things I need to do to get well, and we get overwhelmed. Whereas like, oh, I can get into nature. I can go for a hike with a buddy. I can join a jujitsu gym. I can start to engage and lean into places where just by saying yes to that thing, all of the elements, or like a number of elements there that really serve my well-being, are provided, and give me an opportunity to practice. And of course, the kind of embodied example outside of us is so crucial. I think, we're meant to be in community. We're meant to have people next to us. We're meant to have people behind us we can support. We're meant to have people ahead of us that can support us. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of men in modern culture have lost touch with that. And so I love that ManCamp is providing. Is there anything you want to say? Say a man's listening to the conversation, he's resonating, nodding his head. What might you say to him if he's considering or thinking about ManCamp but hasn't yet made the decision?
I mean, if you're considering it and there's likely, something stirring within you, it might feel a little bit like hesitation or almost a bit like butterflies, if you think about, oh, am I actually going to do this? And maybe you don't know many other people that will be there, or you're becoming solo. If that is going on, it tends, in my experience, it tends to be a great indicator that this is a direction that will prove very fruitful and will facilitate growth, and will facilitate you, breaking through into new levels of yourself that you might not have experienced yet. Because, it's so cliche, but the whole idea that, growth only happens outside or on the edges of our comfort zone is very true. And it's easy to say, oh, I want to grow, I want to be better, I want to do better. And then when something gets really uncomfortable, we can retreat, right? And so I would encourage you, don't retreat back to comfort and familiarity. And recognize that literally one of the greatest investments you could ever give yourself, and you probably have examples of this, whether it was like a conference you went to or a weekend away, it's quality time with people who inspire you, motivate you, can challenge you, can support you, and can remind you of who you are, why you're here, and what's most important. And I know all of those things will be happening in spades during our time together at ManCamp. And so, yeah, just listen to that inner voice, listen to that quiet voice. And if the other voice, which we might call the ego, comes up and says, oh, but no, oh, I don't have the time, oh, all these reasons why I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, they're probably not true. They're probably not true. And even if there is, a legitimate concern, reach out, right? Reach out to the facilitators. I know Adam's put his email out there, adam@mancamp.ca. Reach out, send a message, drop a line, send one of us a DM, like just get into communication for the, at the very least, you'll get clear potentially on what it is that's stirring inside you, whether you want to be there or not. But and at the most, you'll be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I feel a resonance here, even if it feels a little bit, you know, intimidating. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. You'll come out with so many new friends and so much new experience, or refreshed experience, that will certainly make for a beautiful fall season.
Couldn't agree more. Bryan, thank you for taking the time. It's nice to kind of get to know you a little bit on here. Really looking forward to meeting you in person outside of Toronto. For those listening, mancamp.ca if you're ready to register or you want to learn a bit more. Again, if there's any considerations, roadblocks, voices inside, make sure you're really attuning. Like, is there something really in the way, or would you have to displace something else that actually doesn't matter as much as this opportunity might matter? I think that's a question we can ask ourselves that can be helpful. And Adam at mancamp.ca is a place you can go. So again, Bryan, I look forward to seeing you soon. men listening, please join us. And yeah, until next time, I hope everyone is well. Take care.
Thank you.